So if you can please start the slide, Kelly. Okay, and just move on down to the first slide. Okay, so we'll start here. Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. Today's session will be on open houses. All right, and today we will go behind the scenes to see what's really involved in holding an effective open house and using them for lead generation. Okay, so by now, all of you should know the answer to this question. What do successful agents do every day? And the answer to that is they lead generate for buyers and sellers. And open houses, by the way, are the easiest lead generation of all. All right. The goal of our time together today is to learn how to successfully incorporate open houses into our prospecting strategy to generate more business. Okay. All right, next slide, Kelly. Okay, the benefits of holding an open house. Now, let me ask you all this question. Do you hold open houses to sell the house or to pick up buyers or sellers? Anyone want to answer that question? Why do you hold open houses?
Buyers and sellers.
What is that?
Pick up buyers and sellers.
Well, that answer obviously is correct, but the answer is both. All right. Your goal in holding an open house is not only to sell the home, but it is to put yourself in the path of opportunity. So Monique was correct. Your main goal is not to sell the house that day, right? Now, this is if you're holding an open house for not only yourself, but also for another agent in your market center, right? Your goal is to pick up buyers and sellers that day. If you happen to sell the house at the open, that's just a cherry on top, all right? So your goal is holding an open house, not just to sell the home, but it's to put yourself in the path of meeting buyers and sellers. The business opportunity to meet people, right? To add to your database, right? To add them to your database and to set appointments. That's your goal. Okay. Does anyone want to just read up the slide, the benefits of open houses? Can we have the next slide, Kelly? All right, so the benefits of open houses. Anyone want to read that? Okay, I'll just read it out. So the benefits of open houses are, one, they're very inexpensive, right? Your return on investment and exposure. Qualified leads from just one listing and a productive way to meet buyers and sellers. Holding open houses can be very rewarding and profitable. All right. Open houses are inexpensive and have a very high return on investment. You can attract more prospects by investing several hours in an open house than you can in perhaps by most other methods of prospecting, right? Nothing puts you in more direct contact with people than being face-to-face with them at an open house. Additional benefits could include high exposure and a productive way to meet not only buyers, but also sellers. Now, I'm going to give you guys a little hint. I've been in the business a very long time, over 20 years. I'm not that much in production any longer due to the fact that I am the PC for Hudson Valley Realty in Rockland County. But I can tell you from my experience when I held open houses, this is how I started my business. This is how I started my real estate business grow, was by holding open houses for other agents. And for me, it was very important for me to do so. I didn't have a large sphere in Rockland County. I had just moved to Rockland County from Queens. I did not know many people. I did not know my way around Rockland. So by holding open houses every single weekend, I was able to grow my database and start my business on the right track. All right. Now, here's a tip. A lot of people think, okay, I'm going to hold an open house and I am going to collect buyers. And yes, that should be one of your goals, right? Not only to maybe to sell the house that you're holding the open for that day to one of those buyers, but if they're not interested in that house, and if they're not working with another agent, you can pick them up as your customer, correct? And you can find them something else to purchase. But also holding an open house is a great way to get a listing as well. What you can do is you can invite the neighbors a half hour before the public opens up. Send them a private invitation just to the neighbors. Right? Invite them in the house. You might have refreshments if the owner allows. And this is a great way now for the neighbors to meet you and ask you questions. Right? And they'll compare their neighbor's house to their own. They may have never been inside the house. And believe me, a lot of people are nosy. They definitely want to get their foot in the door. But this is a wonderful way for you to have the opportunity to meet the neighbors and possibly create a CMA for their home to secure future business down the road. Maybe you can get a listing. Does anyone have any questions on that? On how that would work? Okay, so let's move on. According to NAR's recent study of home buyers and sellers, 51% of all buyers used an open house as a source of information in their home search process. That's great news for agents, right, who decide to make open houses a regular part of their prospecting efforts. That's a very large number. So let me ask all of you this. What is your number one job again? We ask this all the time. What is your job as a real estate agent? Anyone want to answer? What is your job?
To look
Lead
out
generate.
for the needs of your customers.
Yes, but the right answer, whoever shouted that out, is lead generation. That is our job, to lead generate. And we learned that prospecting is the least expensive and possibly the fastest way to lead generate, right? If you don't have a listing of your own to host an open house, what can you do? What can you do?
You can reach out to listing agents that are having an open house, see if you could shadow.
Correct. So if you don't have your own, you can always ask a fellow Keller Williams agent if you can hold one for their listing, right? And what are the ways that you can do that, right? You can, well, first of all, you should keep on top of the market, right? You should know your market centers listings, right? If you're doing your daily 10-4 every day, that means you are doing what? you are definitely taking a look at the inventory, at least 10 listings every day that you work real estate. Right? And like I said, that doesn't mean you have to physically enter the properties. Just go onto the MLS and learn everything about that property. Right? So you need to know the inventory for your market center. Go on the MLS, see what's new. Reach out directly to the listing agent. It's great to send them an email. It's great to put it on our Facebook pages, our market centers, Facebook pages. That's wonderful. You should do that too. But the best way is to pick up that phone and call the listing agent. Introduce yourself. I'm sure that they will definitely agree to let an agent hold an open house for them, one that they spoke to first, right? They saw that you took the initiative to pick up that phone and introduce yourself, especially if you're a new agent. All right, so get in the habit of doing that. All right, Kelly, if you can go to the next slide. Okay, so we are prepare, prospect, and pursue. So when done with a purpose, an open house is a sales event that is preceded by a system, right? We have to have a system. We have to put a system in process. And believe me, it is surrounded by a wealth of lead generation opportunities. The open house prospecting model is, once again, prepare, right? You have to set up for the open house success. That's your preparation. 2, prospect, promote and host. And 3, pursue. You have to follow up and convert. Okay, next slide, Kelly. All right, let's just talk about this really quick. Do not call, all right? Do not call. We just need to go over this very quickly. Please be aware of the Telephone Consumer Protection Act and the National Do Not Call Registry, right? Right now, we are not allowed to pick up the phone and cold call, right? We're still under that tightening, and hopefully they'll release it come March. Barb, do you have your hand raised?
Yes, I was wondering if you could let us know where to find the list.
Okay, we have that list at kwhvgroup.com. All right, so just go
Thank
to that site to find it. All right. If you have any questions about how the TCPA relates to your business, please contact and talk to one of your local attorneys. All right. It's very important that we adhere by this rule. All right. Remember, right now, we are not able to cold call, but even when we are, we must make sure that they are not on a do not call list. Okay, Kelly, let's go to the next slide.
Meralda, I was just wondering when, what time the Q&A starts.
The Q&A for what?
Just in general. Just for questions, you know, if people have questions.
Oh, you can ask a question along the
Related
way.
to anything.
Joseph, you
Right,
can
but
ask
let's
a
say it's
question right
not.
now.
Right. No, let's say just something not pertaining to a subject that you're talking about at the moment, just in general.
Well, all you need to
sometimes
do is
after
put a
the
question in the
group
chat
coaching.
box, and Kelly will bring it to my attention, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Okay, so prepare. Setting up for success, right? So that is something that we have to all do. We have to prepare for the open house. So once you have made the decision to host an open house, your promoting should start a week out. Don't wait for the last minute. Don't wait for a Thursday to decide, "Ah, I would love to hold an open house this weekend." It's not enough time for you to prepare, right? So here is how to set yourself up for open house success 7 to 10 days in advance. And you should always start on a Monday. So today, on a Monday, select your open house location and time, right? If you have your own listing. If you don't, volunteer to host an open house for someone in your market center or any of our market centers for that matter. All right. And like I said, how do you secure an open house for another agent? Look at the active and the coming soons. Also the coming soons on the MLS for your market center. All right. You could actually schedule in advance, right? If they don't have one available for this weekend, ask for the following weekend. You could actually fill up your whole month in advance for open houses. All right. So call the listing agent to ask if you can hold an open house for them, right? And also at the same time, you also should be posting on our Facebook pages. Let everyone know that you're available to hold an open house, right? Now, once you secure your open house, come Tuesday, you need to start promoting, all right? So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to post online. You're going to generate a call list. And you're going to call 25 neighbors. Obviously, you have to make sure that they are not on the do not call policies when calling the neighbors. If you don't want to call the neighbors to invite them, you can send them an invitation. But make sure that invitation goes out on Monday then, right? Give them enough time. And like I said, invite them in a half an hour prior to the public open house. Give them some time to meet you. And also make sure that they leave with something to remember you by. All right? So that little goodie bag, right? This is just for the neighbors. Right. On Wednesday, post online again. And if the seller allows, what you could do is you could put a open house sign in front of the house. Right now they sell those inexpensively. You could buy them in Lowe's, Home Depot, right? It's like a chalkboard. As long as it doesn't rain or snow, it's not going to wash away, right? And you can put an open house with your name, your telephone number, right? And the day and time that the open house is going to start in the front yard. That might be something you may want to do in advance. And like I said, that's only if the seller allows. Right? On Thursday, once again, post online. At this point, you should start inviting everyone in your database. And you might say, well, these people aren't going to be interested in this open house that I'm holding. That's okay. They may know someone that might be interested. So you want to send out an email to everyone in your database. All right? If anyone calls you from the sign that you put in front of the house on Wednesday, call them back on Thursday. Answer their questions. Also, since you've been posting online, and when I say post online, right, you can be putting this on all of your social media platforms, which you should be, but you should also be running a campaign and command that you're holding this open house, right? So if you start that campaign on a Monday night, once you know which one you're holding, you actually might be getting leads by Wednesday, Thursday. All right. And if you do, you want to make sure that you want to get back to any of those internet leads either by phone, if they supplied a number, or by email. All right. On Friday, once again, post online. You cannot post enough. On Friday, start to prepare your market stats for the neighborhood, right? Pull as many comps that are nearby. Maybe what you should be doing also is collecting any other open houses that might be held in that same neighborhood that same day, right? It's not a bad idea to actually pass that information on to anyone who comes to your open house first. They come to your open house first, and you make them aware of a similar listing in the neighborhood, a similar price range. You can make them aware of that open house. You can give them your card, right? And now when they go to that open house, they can say, Barb sent me, right? So now when they're in the signing, they can put your name in or just hand that card over to whoever's holding that open house. So always have a bunch of your cards with you when you're holding an open home. What I do too is I give buyers, if they're going to open houses, and believe me, they will. Your clients will be going to open houses without you. They will, right? If they're really looking to buy a home, and as we all know, right now, we have such limited inventory that there really aren't too many open houses at the moment, but buyers are going to all of them that are available. That much I can tell you. So I always give a stack of business cards to any buyer that I'm working with. And I always tell them, if you go to an open house, just give them my card. Just give the listing agent or the agent that's holding the open my card. Also, print your open house flyers on Friday. Start getting everything together. On Saturday, once again, you're going to post online. Now, this is a good one. If allowed in the neighborhood, you have to check on that. If allowed in the neighborhood, door knock the neighbors. All right. And I would definitely use a script if the door is answered, right? If somebody opens that door, you want to be prepared. And we'll go over that in a second. If someone doesn't answer the door, you can leave a flyer, right? But please make sure that you can door knock in that area, all right? On Sunday, the day of the open house, get to the open early to set everything up. And let's talk a little bit about safety here for a second. Do not park your car in the driveway if possible. Park your car on the street, not only for safety, but also to give people who are visiting somewhere to put the car. And they may want to pull into the driveway, but the first thing, truthfully, the reason why you do not want to park in the driveway is for safety. You want to be able to make sure you can leave when you want and that no one's blocking you, right? No one cornered you in. So get to the open house early. Do not park in the driveway. And if possible, greet the neighbors, right? Greet all the neighbors. If you did invite people and they responded, right? Make sure you set up if you're having any type of refreshments, and greet all the neighbors as they come in. And like I said, make sure that you let them leave with something from you to remember you. All right. Let's see. What do I just want to go over here? So let's talk about, let's just jot down. Let's do a little assignment here. Let's think about what you can give to the neighbors as a little gift for them to remember you by. Is there anything that comes to mind that might be a good suggestion? Anyone want to share what they think would be a good little giveaway for the neighbors? Nothing at all? little goodie bag.
I,
Of
I
course,
was
you might,
thinking maybe a refrigerator magnet with, you know, obviously with the brand, but maybe some local information that's also of value that they would put on
exactly.
their
That's what
refrigerator.
I was waiting for someone to say. Some local information. What's going on in their neighborhood? Right? What is going on in their neighborhood? Yes, Andrea, I see your hand is raised.
Yeah, I actually use it to promote myself. Like I heard her mention refrigerator magnets. I took like 500 of my business cards and turned them into refrigerator magnets. So
Mm.
I'm really big on like marketing materials, pins, keychains, things like that. So I put all like things like that into a bag. Sometimes I'll put like a sticker with my information on like a snack, you know, little things like that. And then I'll just put that into a bag and leave that for the open house.
Excellent. That's excellent, Andrea. All of those things are good, right? You just want them to remember you. And of course, market stats, definitely let them know what the value in their neighborhood, right? You may also want to offer them something free. Everyone likes something free, right? Offer them a free CMA as well, right? So those are just a few ideas that you can have them leave with. Okay, Kelly, let's go to the next slide.
Okay, before we proceed, Julie in the chat asked, how do you check who's on the do not call list?
Okay, well, once again, we do have that available to you by going to kwhvgroup.com. All right, and you can just put in someone's name, an address, and you'll see it'll pop up. All right, if they're on that list. So you always have to check before you pick up a phone. Always check. Very important. Does that answer your question, Julie?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so prepare, right? We're planning for success. A large part of preparation should be considering the location and time of your open house activity. All right. Over 50% of people who stop at an open house do so by impulse. That much I'll tell you. They do. But location matters in this respect. Are you positioning your event, the open house in the path of traffic, right? Also, what time are you hosting it? If it's near, let's just say the house is near a school, are you hosting when, and you can have open houses, by the way, in the middle of the week. It doesn't have to be a Saturday or Sunday. Keep that in mind. Are you hosting maybe when the school gets out to attract those impulse shoppers, right? It could be someone that's picking up their children from school. They see there's an open house, really? Try to think out of the box, not just on weekends. So what are the times? Let's think about this. What is a competitive time to host an open house? What else can you think about here? Anyone have any ideas of what would be a competitive time? Something different than a Saturday and Sunday from 12 to 3? No ideas at all? You could always hold an open house during the middle of the week, in the early evening when people get out of work, right? You could always have what they call a twilight open house, do something different. A lot of people don't want to, a lot of people work on weekends too, right? There are a lot of people who are not able to go to an open house on the weekend. So you might want to just think out of the box as to, first of all, where is the home located that you're holding the open? And that will definitely give you ideas as to when you should be holding that open, right? When is the most traffic passing this home? You want to bring the open house to everyone's attention, right? All right, next slide, Kelly. All right, so door knocking. Can we go down to the next one? I'm just curious, is this the right slide? I think let's just focus on the door knocking for a second. All right. So door knocking and street walking. Door knocking is an excellent way to gather interest in your upcoming open house event if you're allowed to in the neighborhood. All right. And if you are, before the open house, you can get there early, door knock, invite people, invite the neighbors in to the open house that you're holding. If not, if door knocking is not allowed, what else can you do? You could get there early if it's a beautiful day, walk around the neighborhood and greet the neighbors that you see outside, right? And approach them, hand them a flyer, right? Spring is coming. Obviously, we don't like to walk around in the winter, but that will definitely work, walking around. So let's say you are allowed to door knock, or let's say you're just walking around and you're greeting people. It's a beautiful day. People are outside tending to their lawn, their flowers and whatnot. So let's just do a little script. Let's go a little script here. We're going to use a script. It's a similar script that you can actually find in your participant guide on page 6. Does anyone, Kelly, how about we just role play for a second? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, great. All right, Kelly, you are going to be the homeowner. And I just either rang your bell or you were outside in front of your home. And it's the day of the open house. Okay. Hello, my name is Meralda from Keller Williams Realty. What is your name? May I ask?
My name is Kelly.
Hi, Kelly. Hope you're well today. I'm at your door because Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner asked me to invite you to the open house at their home at 100 Dream Street today at 12:30. We would be honored if you could please stop by for refreshments, and feel free to bring someone with you that might be interested in buying in your neighborhood. By the way, when I find a buyer, I'd like to be able to share with them what people like about the neighborhood. May I ask you what it is that you like about the neighborhood?
It's a quiet neighborhood. There's not a lot going on, so it's not noisy, not a lot of cars going by. So that's why I like the neighborhood.
Excellent. I'll definitely pass that on to all who visit the open house today. I'm looking forward to stopping by later. Have a great day. Now, the reason why I wanted to do this little script, I don't want you to be too pushy. I just want you to ask them something, right? You want them to interact with you. So if you ask them a question about the neighborhood, they're going to say something, right? They're going to say something. And more than likely, that'll make them feel a little bit more, let's say, at ease to enter the open house, right? To come in and look around. They're not going to feel like you're going to jump all over them. They already met you. Does everyone agree with that? Okay. Now, you can find many more open house scripts in the Elements script book. And I think that's on page 25 of the Elements script book. So there's plenty of open house scripts that you can use. So let me just ask all of you a quick question. Do you feel that this is something that you would be able to do? Do you feel comfortable, if not door knocking the neighbors, just walking around the neighborhood, either the same day of the open house or the day before to invite them? Will any of you take time to practice some scripts for open houses?
Yes.
Okay, very good, very good. Okay, Kelly, next slide. All right, prospect. Now, what do we need to do here? We need to spread the word, right? You need to start, and now we're going back, right? This is our third part of the open house. Prospect. Start promoting the open house, like I said earlier, with social ad campaigns, right? Now, looking at this slide, there are 3 steps to take. Right? Campaigns should be created in Command. And if you do not know how to create a campaign in Command yet, you need to take the proper training class, or just reach out to Eileen Angel and schedule a one-on-one with her. And she will be very happy to show you how to run a campaign. All right. So let's take a look at these 3 items here. The first thing you want to do is you want to name the campaign so you can easily identify it later. So I guess the best way would be to just give it the home address of the open house that you're holding, right? Number 2, select a goal. Select a goal for the campaign. And for open houses, what you should choose is event awareness. All right, that should be the goal, event awareness. And number 3, choose the social media platforms where you want to market your ad, such as Facebook, Instagram. I know a lot of agents today are using TikTok. You could put it on LinkedIn. You could put it wherever you would like. The more platforms, the better, right? Getting the word out about your open house has never been easier with the use of campaigns in Command, right? And you can choose from dozens of professional and vivid designs for your social marketing. Right? Today is very easy. It's not like it was when I first started in real estate to get the word out. Today you have it at your fingertips. Okay, anyone have any question about that? About campaigns? Because today we're not going over on how to create a campaign. Like I said, Eileen can help with that. All right, next slide, Kelly. Promote and host. Okay, now, first of all, you need to build rapport, right? Greet everyone that walks into that front door, right? And have every single guest sign in. Do not allow anyone to come in to that open house unless they sign in. You can ask them if they are working with an agent. And if they say yes, have a space on a sign-in sheet for them to put their agent's name. All right. You need to qualify the leads. You need to qualify them. Ask probing questions, right? Ask them, are they looking to purchase only in this neighborhood? Why? When do they need to move? Are they selling a house? Right? Identify their willingness and provide value. Right? You need to provide value. Show them a neighborhood snapshot. Have something at that open house to provide value. Give them something. Give them something to lead with that will be different from other open houses. Give them as much information about any neighborhood that you're holding the open house as possible. All right. The prospect stage is all about hosting the open house and capturing the leads. All right. So to successfully promote and host your open house, you need to build rapport, all right, and establish relationships. That's what you need to do. And like I said, please greet everyone that walks through that door. Don't have people just walk in and look around. Introduce yourself, ask them their name, walk them over to the sign-in sheet, have them sign in. All right. And while you're capturing their information, you could take advantage of a little bit of one-on-one personal time. You might, if it's a quiet open house, you may even want to walk around with them for a little bit and ask them a few questions as they're looking. And you could also point out some new renovations to the house, some highlights as you're walking around with them. What you should do, though, is wow your guests. You really need to do something to wow them, right? And show them your neighborhood expertise, right? Show them that. Show them that you know everything about the neighborhood. So this way, when they're asking you questions, you have the answers. So learn as much as possible before holding that open house. All right. If there's something that's going down the street, some type of construction, a building going up, and they ask you, well, what is that going to be? And you don't know, that doesn't make you look very good. Right? So you want to make sure you know what's going on in that immediate neighborhood. Right? Get to know your guests. Get to know your guests. And what I mean is, like I said, ask them questions as you're walking around. Ask them questions about their family. Do they have children? Their occupation, right? What are they looking for in a house? What are their dreams? Get to know them. Qualify the leads by asking probing questions, right? So what are probing questions? What are additional probing questions? Are they interested in the property? What are the properties maybe of interest to them? What are they looking for? All right. So you have to keep on asking questions. The more questions you ask, the more you will learn about the people that are at that open home. Right? Go 3 levels deep with your questioning. Right? If a client says that they are interested in a school district, you may ask how many children they have in the home. Right? So somebody says to you, oh, I want this house because it's in, Clarkstown. I only want the Clarkstown school district. You're not giving them information, by the way, of which school districts are good and which are not. That's a no-no. But if they tell you, I only want to be in this school district, then you may ask them how many children they have. What's the ages of their children, right? Will they be willing to set up an appointment to talk with you further? Or are they interested in viewing additional properties that may be a better fit for them in that school district? That you can do, but do not offer anything about any school districts. All right. You want to also identify their willingness, right? Are they going to be an immediate buyer or a future buyer months from now? Or maybe they're a future seller for that matter, right? You want to provide value. You can capture contacts in command simply by sharing neighborhood snapshots. Neighborhood snapshots are ideal. They truly are ideal for showing your expertise due to the fact that you're showing everything about a particular neighborhood. So if you're going to run campaigns, add a neighborhood snapshot to it as well. All right, let the people learn about the neighborhood. And if someone does not know how to add a neighborhood snapshot, once again, Eileen Angel can help you with that. Just make sure that you set a one-on-one with her. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Prospect, capture the lead. All right, so one of the most important prospecting tools in your open house toolbox will be capturing the contact information of the prospects that visit your open house. So you can add them to your database, right? And nurture them into opportunities, right? They may not be ready now, but you want to put them in your database so you can nurture them. The best practice during an open house would be to have, obviously, the visitor sign in upon arrival at the event, right? Now, if you do not use a sign-in sheet, a physical sign-in sheet, what are other ways that you can capture the contact information of leads that come through the door? What else can we do? Well, we could use a third-party app designed to collect information, right? Technology is wonderful these days. And so you could actually have them sign. Yes, Andrea, do you have a,
Yeah, I like to use a QR code.
you like to use the QR code? Very good.
Yeah, it just takes them direct to sign up all their information on my app.
Excellent. That's an excellent way, right? So if you don't want to use a physical sign-in old-fashioned form, that is an excellent QR code is a great way to capture the information.
How do you create a QR code for that, though? How do we go about making it?
Monique, I can't hear you at all, hon.
I think
Sorry, can you hear me?
Now I can.
I was saying, how do you go about creating a QR code for that?
Oh, you do it directly from the website. Just go into the settings and it'll be an option there that says create QR code. And then it'll then create a link for you with the code. And then you can just use it anywhere. You share it to text message, social media, print it out.
Which website? I'm sorry, my sound is crappy today. It's every other word.
You can literally do it from any website, from your social media page, anything that you want to link them to.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. So there is, if you want to use, obviously, the old-fashioned open house sign-in sheet, there is a template in your Elementals toolkit, which you could actually customize to meet your needs, however you want to set it up. So what information do you think is key when collecting information from leads at an open house? What information do you think we must have? What should be on that sign-in sheet or whatever technology that you're using? What information is a must?
Phone number?
Phone number. What else? Well, if we're going to put them in our database, we need their phone number,
Email?
we need their email address. That's a biggie. And obviously, if we can get their address, that's a home run, right? You're going to try to get their physical address as well. And like I said before, I would always put in a column asking if they are currently working with an agent. And I will tell you that most people that walk through that door will say to you, yeah, I'm working with an agent. And they're lying to you. A lot of people do that just so you leave them alone and they can walk around. But if you have that as one of the items that they need to fill out, if they're not working with an agent, it's going to be hard for them to write in someone's name, right? And if they do put an agent's name down, you could always contact that agent too, right? Oh, your client stopped over. One or two things are going to happen and say, oh yeah, right, the other agent on the other side is going to say, I told them about the open house. I sent them to your open house. Oh, they didn't tell me that they were coming, right? Don't give a telephone number or an email address, obviously, to the agent that they put down. If they ask you for that, that means that's not their client. Correct? Right? So that is very important. You always want to ask that question. Okay, next slide, Kelly. Okay. So again, capture the lead. What you need to do is you do need to create a neighborhood landing page, right? A great chance to leverage our KW technology is to ditch the paper sign-in sheet. It really is, right? And create a landing page for the property that you are holding, the open house instead, right? And you can have your laptop with you or your iPad with you, right? This captures their contact information in a stylish, professional way and allows you to ditch the paper sign-in sheet. right? And put the lead directly into command. So if you guys are good with technology, you might want to do that instead. I know that Eileen will be holding a class on landing pages in the very near future, right? Obviously, if you can't wait for her to put this class on the calendar, once again, you can set up a one-on-one with her on a calendar, and you can find her calendar at kwhvgroup.com. All right, next slide. Okay, this is important, people. Safety first. And before we go over this, I'm not sure if all of you are aware of the safety feature that SentryKey has. And I'm just going to briefly say that one of my agents in my coaching program over the weekend went to show properties, and she had put me down as one of her designated emergency contacts in SentryKey. And when SentryKey reached out to her because she did not respond, they contacted me immediately because she wasn't responding. So when using SentryKey to open a lockbox, the agent safety feature will launch. All right. Now, this feature will automatically alert your designated emergency contacts when you do not or you cannot confirm that you are safe. So I definitely suggest that all of you go into your SentryKey app and click on the upper left-hand corner, those 3 lines, and go into your settings and set up a safety alert. All right. That could be a lifesaver right there. All right. If anything was to happen to you. And what happened to this particular agent, she had fallen. All right. And her phone slid away out of her hands and she couldn't get to it. All right. So safety first. Number 1, and we went over this earlier, park on the street. Do not allow yourself to be blocked in a driveway. Always park on the street. 2, meet the neighbors. Let them know that you're holding the open house. People know you're holding an open house, right? If they see anything odd going on, they can come in to check on you. 3, never ever turn your back on a prospect. 4, always establish an escape route, right? So that's why another thing, not only should you get there early, you should always visit the house before you hold the open house that day, right? You need to learn, get to know the house anyway, get to know the neighborhood, but also you need to know how to be able to get out of that house if you needed to, right? In a hurry. Always let someone know where you are and when you'll be done. Always. And always bring your, always make sure you have a full charge cell phone and bring your charger with you. All right. Safety is key when showing homes to people. Before, during, and after your open house, you must be aware of your surroundings, right? And take as many safety precautions as you can. All right. Now, obviously, we always have to be on alert when we're showing properties, but this is different, right? You're holding an open house. The door, you're opening up the door to the public. All right. So you want to make sure that you are prepared for anything. If you all want, you could always download. We do have an open house safety handout in the Elementals Toolkit. You should always print that out and keep that with you. Right. Anybody have any questions at all on the safety question?
There's a question in the chat. What do you think of bringing someone to the open house? Should it be only an agent, or can it be a family member or friend? Would that look odd to those coming to the open house?
Okay, first of all, you could have anyone you want with you at your open house. It could be a spouse, it could be a friend. It does not have to be a licensed agent. right? You can have someone, and it's not going to look odd to anyone entering. They have no idea who that person is. For the best of their knowledge, it could be someone there looking at the house, right? Another very good thing too. We always are looking for agents to shadow, right? New agents need to shadow at least 2 open houses. So if you're holding an open house, give a call to the PC and see if they have an agent who would like to shadow. You really should never be alone. In my opinion, you should never be alone at an open house. Okay, so you are allowed to bring whoever you like. What I do suggest, though, please don't bring children. Don't bring your children to an open house. All right, I've walked into a few of them where an agent brought their young child, and I don't think that that's really very good practice. All right. Okay, so follow up and convert. All right. In the pursue stage of the open house process, you're going to engage a system, right? Whereby you will ensure that you stay in contact with every lead on a consistent basis, right? And don't worry if a lead states that they won't be able to buy for 9 months, right? The lead generation model provides ample opportunity to engage every type of lead, whether they are ready to buy or sell today or far in the future. And that's why you need to add them to your database so you can cultivate them. That's future business. You need to be consistent, and you need to constantly have them remember you. All right. So now that you've captured a lead during the open house, right? You want to cultivate that lead. So enter all the prospects into your database, and you should tag your prospects as well, right? And you could tag them, and you should know the answers, because if you ask probing questions, you'll have the answers to this on how should you be tagging them. So you could either tag them as an immediate buyer, an immediate seller, tag them as a future buyer or a future seller, right? So once you enter them, always tag them. And then customize a touch campaign to make sure you stay top of mind. All right, you want to have them remember you. When they think of real estate, you want them to think of you. All right, so prepare, prospect, pursue, right? Follow up and convert. Put all your new contacts on a smart plan, right? Use a high value touch for immediate buyers or sellers, or use a 36 touch campaign for all prospects in order to stay top of mind. Your goal is to convert, right? Stay in touch until they are ready to buy or sell with you. The key here is to not let them forget you. And like I said, when they think of real estate, what your goal is to have your name, your face pop into their head. All right. Just like with, I don't know, if I say Crest, what pops into your head? Right? If I say Hellman's, what pops into your head? So if they say real estate, we want Monique Jordan to pop into their head, Andrea Johnson to pop into their head, right? Okay. Next slide. All right, so let's talk about best practices. Now that we have reviewed strategies for getting people to our event, let's talk about best practices for hosting an open house. All right, so we can go to the next slide, Kelly. All right, so 4 ways to stand out during an open house. All right. So if you're looking for ways to really stand out at an open house, let's consider these 4 tips. And these are some good ones here. Number 1, host a speaker, right? A guest speaker at your open house, such as a general contractor or maybe a home stager, right? They may draw more of a crowd. Your potential buyers may also be looking to sell their homes. So a stager can offer tips, right, to spruce up a home for sale. Let's think about this for a second. What other types of speakers would be helpful at your open house? I have one that just popped into my head that would definitely be a huge plus. Who can you invite to the open house with you as a guest speaker?
A lender.
A lender. And not only are lenders more than happy to hold an open house with you, right? They want to get business too, right? They want to get business too. They might even sponsor the open house for you, right? If you are thinking about inviting the immediate neighborhood, the neighbors in a half hour early, maybe, and if the homeowner allows you to have refreshments, the lender may sponsor that for you. All right. So that is definitely always, and then again, you're not alone. That's another thing. Now you're not alone at the open house. So you could invite a speaker to your open house. Number 2, offer a gift. Now this one I love. I love this one. Hold a raffle, such as by raffling off a gift, buyers will have to share their real contact information with you. Because as we all know, a lot of them like to give us false telephone numbers, false email addresses, right? But if you're holding a raffle and they really would like a chance to win whatever you're giving away, believe me, they're going to give you the correct telephone number and the correct email address, which you can then use to follow up with them, right? And what I would do, even if, just don't call the person who won. I would call each one of them who gave you the information to let them know, apologize, say, oh, I'm sorry, you didn't win this time, maybe next time, right? And then get into a conversation with them, right? Look, if there's ever a price change, right, on the open house, on the house that you're holding, be sure to notify them, right? So this, I believe, is a perfect way to get their real info. And it doesn't have to be a big, expensive gift, right? It doesn't have to be a big, expensive gift. Another thing you can do, hold an open house scavenger hunt. And what I mean by this, you could give visitors a card as they come in with clues and questions to answers as they tour the home. Some of example questions could be, how many fireplaces does the home have? Which room had the inviting window seat overlooking the backyard? Which room features custom built-in shelving? Not only do you give prospects a reason to pay closer attention as they do a walkthrough of the home, but you also teach them about the home's features, which they may find appealing, right? And then when they are done answering all the questions, they hand you the card, and that can be used for the raffle, right? That's another way. That's just an idea of who you can pick as the winner. Okay, get the house in showing shape. This is so important, so important. You'll want the house looking its best, not only inside, but outside too. Outside too. So you need to instruct your sellers, if the house is occupied, that is, to trim their shrubs, right? Mow the lawn, clean up any trash that's outside of their home, unclutter rooms, right? Vacuum the rugs. I'm not even going as far as shampooing them. Maybe they should, right? But at least vacuum them. They should check the home smell. A lot of people don't realize what their home smells like, right? So what can you do? You can tell them, and this is still a good tip to this day, have them bake fresh cookies. That is a nice scent for people entering the house. But what they really, really must do, they must clean absolutely everything. Everything has to be clean, right? And the fourth thing, and this is big for today, go live. Engage your social media followers by going live at your open house, right? Create an event, right? Create an event on Facebook. Then during the time of the open house, you could tease the audience, right? With a sneak peek of the home. Why not? Why not have a live open house while you're holding the open house? Now you got to think a little differently. Any questions on that? On the best practices at all? Or anyone have any other ideas they would like to add to that?
I just want to jump in. So when you're going live, you can kind of say that it's like a virtual open house, right?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I mean, look, you're holding the open house anyway, right? So why not include a live open house too? Right? A lot of people may actually tune in that weren't able to go to the open house, and they'll make an appointment with you to see it for another day. Bob, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I was wondering, on that, like, how would you capture the lead information? Would you have some way electronically so that if someone wanted to come to the live open house or the virtual, that they would put all their information in and then get access to the,
Yes. Yes. If
oh,
you
okay.
create
So
an
there's
event,
technology to do that. Okay.
yes, like on Facebook. That's why I use Facebook as an example. You could create an event on Facebook. And by creating that event, you can have a sign-in page that people actually have to sign in order to get that link for that day. All right. Again, now you're capturing the information.
Okay.
That's a great question, Bob. It really is. Okay, Kelly, next slide. Okay. Hosting the open house. So aside from the best practices that you absolutely should do, there are some best practices that people have learned not to do over time. All right, but let's talk about the do's first. All right, like I said before, and I can't say it enough, safety first. Safety first. Have someone with you, definitely. A new agent, a friend, a spouse, right? Have someone with you. Have the right mindset. Have the right mindset. And that mindset is what? The mindset is not to sell that house that day, but to grow your business, to grow your downline, to grow your database. Get the house in showing shape. Clutter can definitely cost the sale of a house. Set all documents pertaining to the house out for people to take as they walk in and before they tour the home. Definitely welcome visitors at the door. Okay. So those are just a few examples of do's. Now let's talk about don'ts. All right. And this is something that you have to tell your seller in advance. Tell them to put all their valuables away. No valuables exposed. For you, if you are going to have refreshments, don't overdo it with anything that's messy. All right, make it simple. You don't want to start now cleaning up after everyone. Again, don't make assumptions Make sure you qualify leads, ask questions. Don't just be quiet and not ask anything. So don't make assumptions, ask questions. Never turn your back on a prospect. Don't park in the driveway. All right. So these are things that are most important. Is there anything that you would add to this list? You know, based on some of these ideas that I just gave you, anything else that you think you should do definitely or don't? Is there anything you'd like to add? Okay, so let's talk a little bit, Kelly, about the next slide, which is your success kit. All right, so when you host an open house, you want to be ready for anything, like we spoke about before. First and foremost, make sure you can easily access the house using your Sentry key. Arrive early to set the house up. Right. So what are some of the things? Let's take a look at this list and some of the things that you should always have with you. Right. You could always just put together a success kit. So disinfecting wipes, extra business cards, so you can hand them out to people to take. If the house is vacant, and I know you might be like, but toilet paper, you may need it. Bring paper towels to clean up any spills, any mess. A few trash bags to remove anything that needs to be thrown out. If you're having refreshments, don't leave it in the house for the sellers. Put everything in the trash bag and get rid of it. You could always, a measuring tape is always good to have. Backup battery power for your cell phone. Pens, right? So you want to put together a kit that's always with you when you are holding an open house. Maybe air freshener too, that might be a good one, right? So looking at this list, is there anything that you would add to your open house success kit? Is there anything you think you should add to that?
What a Swiffer for the floors.
Yes, that would be very good. Also, you might, even booties, right? If you don't want people to take their shoes off, you might have a box of booties for them to put on. Obviously, hand sanitizer today, right? You may want to have a bottle of hand sanitizer. Some of you may still feel comfortable with masks, right? Even though, or at the cell, even though masks are not mandatory anymore, you may have a seller that says to you, I don't want anyone in my house without a mask anyway, right? You might hear this from here on in. So you might want to have a box of masks with you too. And just create a success kit for your open house and always have that with you because you never know. Always be prepared. All right. Really consider creating your own open house kit, right? So you can handle any situation. Okay, so we are at the follow-up stage. All right, so we're going to end today's session on follow-up. So which you might say we already covered, but we can't stress enough how important follow-up is to the lead conversion process. Next slide, Kelly. Okay, so following up with an open house customer could mean putting them on a neighborhood nurture plan, an 8x8 plan, or even just writing them a handwritten note, thanking them for attending the open house. Remember that your main goal in this business is to get into relationships with people, right? You need to get into relationships with people. When they know you, when they like you and trust you, they are more likely to do business with you. Don't you agree? So try to get into a relationship with these people. When you look at the lead generation model, right now we see an arrow pointing from close back up to the prospecting and marketing. So why do you think this graphic, what do you think this graphic represents? Does anybody want to take a shot at it? Okay. Once someone is your customer, there is no reason they can't be your customer for life. You just have to employ the strategies of the lead generation model and stay in relationship with them. That's it. There's no magic ingredient to this. The agents that stay in contact with their customers after the closing will always have repeat business. And they will also refer business to you throughout the years, believe me. I cannot tell you how many people say, I never heard from my agent again after the closing. Right? And that's what you don't want to happen. So you have to stay in contact with all of your customers. So thinking back to your database and your goals for growing your database, how would you feel about adding 2 or more customers for life to your database from each open house you host? Because that's exactly what's going to happen, at least 2 from each open house, right? What would that do for your business? Think about that. Open houses are a great way to build that database quickly. Okay. Next slide, Kelly. So given what we've learned today, what do you think your strengths will be when it comes to hosting an open house? Anybody want to share on what they think that their strengths will be? Like, what did they pick up from today that you will incorporate into your open house strategy?
A kit.
A kit.
Yep.
Yep. It's always good to have a
Incorporating the
kit.
neighbors in the open house.
Yes, definitely. Right. The best way you could actually, and no one ever thinks of doing that. They don't think of, oh, maybe I can get a listing from holding this open house. But you're very well maybe able to pick up a listing or 2, right? Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, so let's just go over this really quick. So the goal of our time together is to help you think, right? To help you think, feel, act, and use what you've learned and ignite, right? What you've learned to ignite your passion and help you achieve your big why. So before we end our day, I'm going to leave you with a little short homework assignment that you can do later on today. Right? So taking a look at this last slide, let's recap and put what we've learned into action. And you could do this later on. You don't have to do this right now, but write down your ahas for each of the categories on a sheet of paper, or you could also go to the AHA achievement activity in the guide that you have. So what I want you to do is I want you to answer the following questions and be truthful to yourself. All right. Number 1, how has your thinking changed? What ideas or mindsets were new? How has your thinking changed? And what ideas or mindsets are new? What do you feel differently about? What was meaningful? How will your behaviors be different going forward? What actions will you take going forward? Right? What do you feel differently about? What actions will you take going forward? And lastly, what tools, models, or systems will you definitely use? How will they make you more accountable? right? And for all of you, whoever would like to share their answers with me, please do. I would love to see them, and you can email it to me. Kelly, would you be able to put my email address in the chat?
Yes, I can do that. I'll do that right now.
Thank you. So if anyone wants to send me their answers, or if you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me. Just send me a quick email and I will help you in any which way that I can. Does anyone have any questions at all before we end our session today?
Yeah, you mentioned something about a handout or.
Yes. Do you not have the handout? Did you
I did.
download it from? If not, that can be sent to you. I can send it to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Just let me have your, you have my email. So if you can please just send me a little note to my email address, Dennis, that'll remind me to send it to you, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This was very good. Thank you so much for it.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Dennis. Does anyone else have any questions before we end the day? Okay, so I won't keep you. Have a wonderful week. And definitely go out there and find your open houses starting today. Okay?
Thanks, Meralda. You're great.
Thank you.